is no longer enough. Where are we going on this one? Where is this? Left all credit card, all debit card. I don't even use a debit card, but I'm just showing you there was no means for me to take any money out of my bank accounts. It's just, this is what I brought, and other cash was for, eating and whatever. And I sat at that one-armed bandit slot machine, and every time I would get down to the last $10, I just want to lose it because I don't want to have to do this anymore. And I didn't want to do what? Get up and walk away. The analyst in me was saying, this is a waste of time. You're not going to make any money. And you're already just wanting to leave, but you're not wanting to get up because retail Rick is pulling the slot machine. But what happens if I get a jackpot? What happens if I win $2,000? The maximum thing I could have won on this was $2,000. And I would make it a little bit up to 75, 65, just under $80, getting back to the $100 that I put in the machine. And then all of a sudden, it would be spent down to the last $10, $12. And I'm like, okay, it won't be much longer now. And then I won't have it. I ain't got to worry about doing this. I can go watch the shows with my wife or whatever. And I'd win a little bit more, but it would be like to be $50 or $40. And then the gambler in me said, oh, I'm probably real close to one of those big wins. Let me just keep playing. And I sat down there for almost 7 fucking hours with the same $100. Couldn't make it go away, and I couldn't freaking make any money above $100. I never got it over $100. So I'm thinking to myself, this is stupid. Like, what the hell am I doing? So finally, I just did the maximum bets that it would allow me to do, and then boom, it's gone. And I was relieved that that $100 was spent like that, because I was like, okay, now I don't have it. I won't be enticed to do what? Do another run of that and get caught up in that whole pursuit of being right. That's how I learned this. The whole discussion tonight was that moment in 2022. I'm sorry, 2002 is when we went to Atlantic City. We got married Valentine's Day of 2001, and then a year later we were in Atlantic City celebrating it there, which was weird because I've never been to a casino, and that's where she said she wanted to go, so whatever. But this whole idea of removing myself from that, I applied that experience to the trading. When I start feeling like I'm listening to the wrong, okay, what if you make more money than we thought? Or what if this is a trade that we hold on for a longer time? The analyst is never doing that. The analyst is going to speak through your conscience to you and say, this is the rules, bub. This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is all you're supposed to be doing. And when you step out of line, I'm going to remind you, because it's going to feel like uncomfortableness. And that's not just fear of making money or losing money. That sometimes is the analyst that's been increasing in its understanding about what it is that you're doing in the marketplace. Don't cancel that out. Don't arm wrestle that, because it's sometimes the experienced analyst that you trained up to this point in your development, and it's going to be communicating to you through your conscience by saying, this is not what we should be doing. We should be doing this. And then what you're doing sometimes is you're allowing retail Rick, the gambler in you, and the trader to argue with one another, ignoring the analyst, which is the sound advice that you should be following. So how do you deal with that? Your plan needs to be written out. When I take a trade, I have a notepad next to me. I'm literally writing down target, partial, stop won't move until it gets to this price. That's it. So if I see something, some little flurry of price action comes in, boom, if it doesn't break the rules that I have written down for my idea, I'm not moving my stop. I'm not panicking. But it might cause a concern for me to feel like the analyst is saying, okay, we now are in troubled waters. What's the process? Half off. Don't move the stop anymore. Or if it's not moved to better the break even, move the better to break even, and then let it go. Submit to whatever happens. And that's how you condition yourself to not just run like a cat with its tail between its legs, fearful, because that's what would be the outcome. You don't want to just run away from any trade. At some point, you have to press into it. But it's easier to press into that trade that's uncertain now when you've taken half off. You've made money. You had a part-time job in that trade and you made money. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And any fucker out there that tells you there is, they're not showing you anything, but they're telling you this is the advice that you should follow. Their shit. And they don't do anything to garner your respect or belief that what they're saying is sound logic. You don't see them signing into an account, going through day by day. This is what I made. This is what I lost. You don't see that, but they're highly opinionated. Who are you listening to? Are you listening to somebody that's going out there live on Twitter or in live streams and calling every fucking candle movement before it happens? Or are you listening to somebody that brings nothing but more confusion? If you're doing that, that's the same thing that you're going to experience in your trades. You're going to wrestle internally. It's going to be like chaff. You won't be able to focus. You'll feel like you have attention deficit disorder when you really don't. You're just placing too much stress because you're over leveraging. You're demanding being right. Easiest solutions. Cut half the trade off. You'll fix the over leveraging right there. You've funded yourself. You paid for that time in the trade. Your stop's better than even. And now you can submit to the outcome. I'm in a trade, ICT. I got this shit figured out. I'm in here. I got 5 contracts. I'm long S&P. I'm looking for a 20 handle run. Around 12 handles in. Whew, what are we doing here? Anybody got any ideas? What do you think? You think it's going to go up? Half off. But I got 5 contracts. Take 3 off. Why not 2? Take 3 off. Shut the fuck up. Take 3 off. You've banked 3. Let the 2 run. If it goes to stop, it's okay. If it goes to target, great. Next trade. You got to wrestle yourself into submission to the model. Otherwise, the market and your weaknesses will wrestle you into submission to failure. You won't see it coming. Nobody ever sees it coming until it's done. And you're like, yeah, I knew at that moment, right? You'll know exactly what it was. And you'll know and you'll admit to yourself, that was the moment I should have did this or that. Damn it, why did I do that? Now I got to do a funded account reset. Now I got to go put more money in the account. And it will repeat all the time until you do the things I'm telling you to do here. You're trying to graduate to a state of mind that when you go into the marketplace, you are at the state of mind that is when being right is no longer enough. You now are detail oriented. You're principle oriented. You're following logic. You want precision. Right is not enough. Your pursuit now is you want to control risk so impeccably that your winners are going to so far outpace your losing trades, it won't matter. It won't matter. The next trade that you lose on, it won't even have any impact at all on you. None, zero. People might talk about it. in passing. Oh yeah, you gotta let your profits run, trade your plan your trade. This all sounds great. But how do they engage? Do they trade recklessly? Are you trading recklessly? Are you throwing everything out the window because now you have a funded account or a live account? The things that you were doing in your demo that were consistent, the only thing that's changing when you go into live funds, because it's still live data you're trading off of, the only thing that's changed is now you have potential reward and potential loss. And you have to grow into accepting that. And it's not easy. For some of you, it's going to be next to impossible, but you have to graduate into it slowly. Whatever the least amount of money you can put in on a trade, that lot size, that's what you trade until you're absolutely bored. And then you go up one more contract, trade like that until you're absolutely bored. And you do it again and keep doing it again and again until you can get to the point where, oh, wow, I can be in 5 mini contracts making $250 per handle. All I got to do is get 4 handles and it's $1,000. And you'll see that making $1,000 a day doing that is easy. But it's hard for you right now because you're going to feel what? As soon as you put a trade on with 5 contracts, you're thinking, shit, my ass is puckering. What is going on? I don't know if I'm supposed to hold this or get out. It's moved 2 ticks. Shit, it just moved 2 ticks. What am I going to do? 2 ticks. Am I long or short? What the hell am I doing here? Did I put the stop on right? You're going to be thinking about all kinds of shit. You're going to feel completely like a noob. What's changed? Potential reward and potential profit is the greed. Potential loss, potential debit to your account. That's your potential wreckage. Now, instead of saying, okay, is price confirming that it's continuously moving in my favor? And is order flow still on my favor in my own side? That's where your attention is. You're not looking at the profit and loss little button on your screen. How much money am I up and down, up and down? You do that, you're done. I just do that to show you eye candy to hold your attention in the early stages. You don't need to see that once you understand what you're doing because you can clearly see, okay, it's moved in your favor. Do the math. How many contracts could you have been there? And there it is. In the beginning, new traders, new students, they need to be entertained. There's got to be a hook in their mouth that draw them this direction. And I'm a master at that. Good songs, maybe not every song, because I'm sure some of you would have heard songs that I put in my videos where like, what the hell was he thinking putting this in there? It's not for you, it's for me. But I know how to draw a crowd. And once that crowd's there, I know how to teach you. But I also am aware that some of you are not teachable and you'll walk away before you should. And some of you, I'm glad you did or do because you're not prepared and you're just going to be toxic. But knowing what to do, when to react to it. When we react, okay, I saw this, I can't remember the guy's name. He's a YouTuber. He tweeted, your job as a trader is not to predict the future. It's to react to price. What the fuck kind of logic is that? Like that literally encapsulates retail trading right there. That's it. That's it. That is retail trading in a sentence. What you're saying by saying something like that, or if your thoughts are in alignment with that, what you're essentially saying is there's no way to know where price is likely to go. So fuck it, let's gamble. That's exactly what you're saying. Your job is not to try to predict price. Your job as a trader is to react to price. Get the fuck out of here. Listen, if you don't know where the draw on liquidity is, where the market's likely to be going up or down to, you're clueless. You have no business, zero business pushing a button in that regard. You don't have any business doing any kind of trading because you're literally putting a blindfold on, being spun around 50 times in the dark, stopped. It's okay. Take this tack, walk forward, and pin the donkey, pin the tail on the donkey game. But you're doing it disoriented. And you're reacting. What are you going to react to? When your hand hits the wall, okay, push the thumbtack in. Let's see what happens. Bullshit is what happens. These individuals that hold that logic, that's the reason why they struggle. And they have hit and miss results once in a while. And what keeps them in the game? Risk management. They suck at trading. Their trades are just terrible. The logic to get into the trade is lacking. But what keeps them in the game? Money management. But I'm a professional trader. I make my money from trading. Okay. Imagine if you learned how to determine where price is going and you kept everything else the way it is. How much better would you be? I'm interested in seeing that. But you have to know what we're doing is predicting price. We're time fucking traveling, okay? We're literally moonwalking into the future, gaining insight and coming right back to where we are right then and sitting in front of the charts. What does that mean? It's impossible. Now he's talking out your ass. Okay, well, listen, when you're looking at the charts, you need to be able to see in your mind's eye, can you physically see the price running up to that relative equal high? If you can see it, that's the first step. You have to be able to see that that potentially is in the chart. It could manifest itself. Now, how it finally gravitates to there, does it go in one straight shot or is there two price legs into it, maybe three price legs before it gets there? That's not important. You're submitting to the idea that you are seeing this present price action. It's likely to go up to those relative equal highs where there's buy side liquidity. So you're submitting yourself to what? I'm in a buy program. I'm going to be buying discount arrays. I'm going to be observing price and looking to see if down closed candles support price and repel it higher. To the left of all that, if there is a range in price action, I want to see up closed candles being traded through. That's institutional order flow being bullish. You don't need a depth of market. You don't need moving averages. You don't need any of that shit. The chart will tell you everything you need to know. But you're not reacting to any fucking thing except for that internal voice that tells you you're in troubled waters. So that's the only time you're getting permission from ICT to react to any fucking thing. You're reacting to your conscience. Your conscience is talking to you saying, hey, this is probably not a good idea now because you're not listening to me. And you and the gambler are arguing with one another. And I'm trying to guide us through this trade. And you are causing a decoupling. And now it's going to be physically felt with fear of missing out on the move, fear of being stopped out, disorientation. There's going to be a day, I promise you this, whether you've ever had an anxiety attack or not, this is going to happen to you. There's going to be a time when you have a funded account or you have real money at risk and you're in a trade out of nowhere. Your heart's going to start beating a little bit too fast. You're going to start hyperventilating. You won't really notice it until it starts. But then you're going to feel anxious. You may feel like you want to throw up, feel like you need to go to the bathroom. You're going to lose control of yourself or pass out. Feel like you can't breathe. Feels like you're not getting air, but you're hyperventilating and breathing too much. Start seeing stars. Feel like you're going to faint. Feels like the whole world is now laying on your back and you're in a trade while all that's going on. That's an anxiety attack. That's usually when the analyst is saying, listen, it's it. Like we're doing everything now to get your attention. So what should you be doing? Reacting. You need to react to that. But you need to be predicting the future and price. That's what we do as traders. Anybody, and I've seen this multiple times with other educators and such, anytime someone tells you your job as a trader is not to predict the price, get the fuck away from that person. That person doesn't know shit. They know nothing. They absolutely know nothing. They're leading you down the primrose lane. They're full of shit. They can't do it, and they're just trying to justify their own ignorance, period. That's the way it is. Someone in this industry tells you your job is not to try to predict the price. What the fuck are you doing if you're not doing that? How are you not trying to predict the future? If you're bullish, what does that mean? That means you're a buyer. So you're what? You're predicting that price is going to go fucking up. What kind of shit is that? Your job is not to try to predict the future, but to react to price. No, 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 no. We are predicting where price is going to go. We are anticipating that prices are going to go to a discount when we're bullish. We're going exactly where the fuck we're trying to buy. We know exactly where our fucking stop loss is going to be. We know exactly why the fuck we're expecting it to go up. We are not reacting to shit. Period. That's just the fucking way it is. That's the reality. That's trading. That's the real shit. That's in the trenches, real fucking trading. Any fucking body that tells you anything apart from that, you unfollow, you fucking tell them to go fuck themselves and stop spreading misinformation. That's how you handle that shit. Period. That really fucking gets under my fucking skin, man. Like, I don't like that because that's ignorance. That's fucking class A fucking ignorance masquerading as fucking wisdom. Get the fuck out of here, man. That's fucking Sesame Street fucking wisdom. React to price. Get the fuck out of here. And you're probably listening to this, so do fucking better. But you have to know when that conscious is talking to you. And if you feel unsettled, you feel uncomfortable while you're in that trade, that's the surest time signal to you that you need to react to that as I need to bail on half the trade and just kill it. And if you can't, take the whole trade off. I promise you, in the first few times that you do it, it'll feel like, especially if it runs further, it'll feel like that's the worst advice you ever received. But I promise you, it will serve you better than anything else because it takes so much more for the human mind to go through that stressful endeavor of holding through that shit. When you're new, you don't have any experience. You have none. You're going through it. So yes, at some point you will have to submit to it. But initially, when you're developing, when you first get that first experience, you do not dig your heels in and say, I'm holding on for dear life. You master yourself. You reward yourself. You've taken the risk up to that moment. You've submitted to the trade idea up to that moment. But something is occurring and you don't know. I don't know if it's your experience that you've now gained that's trying to communicate to you through your content saying, okay, this is no longer a viable setup. You don't know that yet. So the first instances of this occurring in your development and you're in a live trade where you have real money at risk, you take half the trade off. I promise you that's the best advice that you're going to get regarding that moment. That instance of where you're in there and you feel like you're completely out of control. You can't focus. You can't come to the decision of get in, I'm not getting in, but stay in the trade or get out. If you're in that arm wrestling match ever, and it's a live account trade when there's real money, and you are wrestling with, should I get in? Or I'm sorry, should I get out of the trade or should I hold on to it? If you are completely wrestling with that and you can't even focus on what price is doing right now, you're being distracted by that. So you won't be able to watch order flow. You won't be able to receive the information that price is going to tell you because you're watching the likelihood of you being right slip out from your hands. And that pursuit of being right overtakes the logic that puts you into the trade or would keep you in the trade. It doesn't feel clear at the time. You feel like you're losing your mind. And if you're in a panic attack or anxiety attack while it's going on, that makes it worse. But I promise you, 10 minutes after you close the trade or take half off, it goes away. You'll see things a little bit clearer. If you're in panic, if you're disoriented in a trade and you start worrying about whether you should stay in or get out, half the trade comes off. Walk away, minimum 10 minutes. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. If it comes back and hits your stop, who cares? You're comfortable with that. If it goes to target, who cares? You were expecting that anyway. But 10 minutes. Because what happens is if you remove yourself from the stimulation that causes the anxious moment and would have thinking, you've now immediately reacted to the emergency that your mind's saying that you're in emergency. But you don't realize that at the time. So to master yourself and your emotions and the psychological warfare that you're putting yourself through is you take half the trade off, make sure the stop's at better than break even, and you submit to the rest of the move. Whatever happens, happens. But you must walk away, leave the room where your charts are, minimum 10 minutes. It's going to feel like you want to rush back in there and just peek and see what's going on. Don't. Do something else. Take a walk, go grab something to drink, stretch out. Let 10 minutes pass. All of the adrenaline, the cortisol, all those hormones that your body's releasing, they'll burn off in 10 minutes if you do something other than what you were doing, which is standing still like a Ferrari in park, but with the acceleration pedal down to the floor. You're tearing the engine out. It's not meant to do that. And the only thing you're going to do is keep that panic attack going until you're probably going to get sick, pass out, or feel like you're dying and call an ambulance for nothing. And between the time you call the ambulance because you feel like you're dying, you're having chest palpitations, tightness in your chest, tingling down your arm. I would always get this tingling in the corner of my left, like the corner of my left side of my mouth. It would start tingling, and it would be like this numbness, tingling feeling that goes right up, like you were drawing a smiley face on the right side of my mouth, from the corner up to my left eye corner. It would be like a pathway of numbness right there, and all that was adrenaline. Because I'm not doing anything. I'm sitting there looking at my charts. What if this and what if that and what if this and what if that? And I'm basically scaring myself, and I'm releasing adrenaline, but sitting still, doing nothing to burn it off. Your brain says there's an emergency. Fight or flight. Fight or flight. Let's get it on or let's get the hell out of here. And what am I doing? Sitting still, looking at something that I'm constantly telling myself there's an emergency. I need to make a reaction and decision. What are we doing? And I'm doing nothing. I'm what if thinking, and what if thinking. And then finally, cortisol, that hormone's released in my bloodstream. And now I start feeling physical symptoms, chest tightness. I'm breathing faster because my brain's been told there's an emergency right now. And I've released adrenaline. Now my heart races faster. And cortisol is a stress hormone that once it hits your body, you're completely in a different state of mind. You will start feeling physical symptoms. Palms will be sweaty. You'll start maybe trembling. Dizziness because you've blew off all your CO2. but it feels like you're not getting oxygen, but you're just too low on CO2. You blew it off. The exhaling too much. You ever see the people breathe into a paper bag? What that does is it helps regulate your blood oxygen level with the CO2, so it's balanced. You have to slow your breathing down. Take your attention onto something else. And I mentioned over the summer last year, I said the way you beat a panic attack is have a sleep second hand on your watch, and you feel your pulse, and you watch the sleep second hand, and you count. And what you're doing is you're taking your attention away from the things that you're scaring yourself with. And that's how you do it. You take the trade off halfway or close it, and you remove your attention from the charts. Physically leave the room for 10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, you'll feel silly, and you'll probably start laughing like, what the hell did I just scare myself with? There's no emergency. There is no emergency. But you can trick yourself into thinking there is. And if your mind's racing like that, can you really follow your model? No. No one can. It's impossible. Zero possibility. And so many times traders fall into this condition multiple times in their career. But the first time it happens, it is scary as shit. Like, you're afraid you're going to pass out. And what happens then? What if the trade just keeps coming back and stops me out? You're stopped out. What the fuck are you worried about? Like, I used to have panic attacks and think to myself, wow, if I'm in a restaurant and say I start choking, and then I get the food caught in my throat, and then finally I end up vomiting in front of everybody. How embarrassing would that be? Well, how about, what if it doesn't happen and I enjoy my meal? What the fuck? That's what the human mind does, though. It reaches for the negative all the time. And people that are toxic, they live themselves outwardly like that, constantly looking for something to dramatize, constantly looking for something to criticize. They're miserable people. And the folks that don't do that outwardly tend to do it inwardly, and then they punish themselves with anxious feelings of emotion that are unbridled. And you lose thought, control, mastery of yourself. And now you're not watching the market. You're not even worrying about being stopped out. You're not worried about making the money. You're wondering now, am I dying? Am I having a heart attack? Am I having a stroke? Because you've lost all focus. That's how all these things happen. That's the road and pathway that leads right to that. Some of you may never have that experience. It'll be far and few between. But most of you will have this. If you're trading with real money, it will happen. You will have an anxiety attack. You will feel like you're literally having a heart attack or stroke. And you're doing it to yourself. You're scaring yourself. Cut half the trade off. Stop better than break the even, and let it happen. Whatever's going to happen is happening. But walk away from the charts. The stop's there to do its job. The limit order will be there to get you out. Stop looking at it and give 10 minutes for your body to regulate all the hormones. For some of you young guys or gals that never had that experience yet, you'll have a panic attack. It's just a high level of stress. You may not ever want to submit to it and call it a panic attack. It's just an anxious moment. But if you have racing thoughts and physical symptoms of wanting to pass out or stroke or tingliness up and down your arm or whatever, that's adrenaline. And you're sitting still. The easiest thing to do is just take a quick walk, burn it off, exercise, do some kind of physical exertion to burn that stuff off, and constantly tell yourself there is no emergency and everything's fine. And you self-talk yourself down from that, which is the reason why I teach you to self-talk in your journal. Don't invite that negative stuff, because if you bring the negative stuff in there, what you're doing is you're saying, I'm pursuing right. And right is not the goal here. Consistently profitable. And if you're only framing that in the context of right only, you're going to take trades that are going to be outside the parameters that your model is, because you're thinking, oh, this is one of those times where it's going to move and it's outside the kill zone. And, this is, I got time. I just think it's going to go up there and maybe just get in there and push the button. And you know damn well doing it, you're doing everything wrong. So you're not going to be in there low stress. You're going to have a panic attack worrying about it. And you're not even going to trade it right. You're going to submit to the first 20 seconds of it, and you're going to be counting every minor fluctuation that goes against you, thinking that it's going to be the next tick before it runs 20 handles against you in one shot, one straight shot. Boom, you're stopped out. Not just a little bit stopped out. You're way stopped out. That's what your mind does to you. It tricks you. And if you trade like that, it's because you're over leveraging, too much risk, or you're trading outside your model and you know it. And subconsciously, your analyst in you is saying you're doing things wrong. And retail Rick's driving. You've put the analyst in the back seat or left them at home, and you're shotgun with retail Rick, and he's had too much to drink. It's not going to be a good outcome. So your conscious will talk to you. And as you get more experience, as you get better at this and you have more wisdom because you've been doing it longer, that voice will be a lot more comforting and it'll guide you. And that's the thing that when you're asking me as students, how do you trust and how do you know that the market was going to reverse like that? How do you know like that it's not going to go past that low? It's experience. The analyst is in me saying, these are those instances where it does this. You've seen this before. So here's what we do. This is what we don't do. This is what we expect to see. That is what? Predicting. It's not reacting. It's predicting. The trader anticipates. The analyst predicts. The gambler sits in the back seat and shuts the fuck up. We don't want to listen to the gambler. We're not giving the wheel to the gambler, but they're always going to be chatting. Yeah, but we could have bought more. You should have held longer. This one did better than that one. You bought the wrong pair. Shut the fuck up, Rick. It's hard to filter that out. The part of you that is always going to look for what you didn't do right. Because retail Rick is constantly looking through the lens of right. You should not have that in your trading at all, but you're going to have it as an internal wrestling match always, because you're going to criticize yourself. And there's never going to be a bigger critical person on this planet than you are. Nobody could troll ICT harder than I troll myself. When I don't do what I'm supposed to do, I live that shit for years. Maybe it's not that way for you, but it's human nature for us to beat itself in very toxic ways, either inwardly or outwardly. So it's important that you constantly be reminded that we're not pursuing being right, okay? It really is impactful when you go into your trading day giving yourself permission to not be perfect. If you're wrong, it doesn't mean that it's a failure. It just means you're wrong. And you can be wrong and make money. That's what a sound model does. How can you be wrong? How can you be wrong and make money? Partials. They work every fucking time. There has never been a partial that was taken in a trade that did not yield a gain or profit. It cannot happen. A partial profit is profitable. And you take that when it offers it to you. Then, if the trade doesn't go to your targets, You were wrong, but you made money. Books don't teach that mindset.